So if you're on the phone and you're talking to someone, you start crying. You know, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't be crying. In actual fact, you ain't got nothing to be sorry about.
No.
It's a human emotion.
There is strength in vulnerability.
I'd rather listen to your problem than go to your funeral, you know?
Don't bottle things up, don't keep it to yourself, try and find a way of getting it out.
It's also just accepting that the situation is really horrific. Hi guys, Badalia here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're in the gym asking men some of the hardest questions about their mental health. When was the last time you cried?
Probably not too long ago. I've been going through some issues, children issues. Being able to see my kids. And what's hard is my stepson, who I feel is my son, I have no real rights over him because biologically I'm not his father. But to have him taken away from me or being used as a weapon, well, you know, you're not going to see your son. That hurt.
When was the last time I cried? A few weeks ago, to be fair.
Do you remember what it was for?
I found out my mum has dementia.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Some people say that crying is a sign of weakness. Would you agree with that?
I don't really agree with that. Don't get me wrong, I'm one of those people who tries not to cry over stuff. But again, you know, crying can be a release sometimes of pent up stuff that's inside of you. And our men don't like to say, oh yeah, I was crying, or you know, it's not a manly thing to do. But again, it's not about that, you know. It's about trying to release what's inside of you, which is why a lot of people come here.
When did you last cry?
Probably about August. I realised that I really wanted to be with the girl that I just broke up, and I'd made such a mistake, and I wanted to sort things out, and she'd made it quite clear that she was like, I don't want this is never happening again. We've tried so many times, it's not working. Upon hearing that, I just broke down. I was like, damn it. Just in front of her, I couldn't even hold it back. I just cried.
And that's okay.
Weekend just gone.
Quite recent? What happened?
Came across my mom's picture. She passed away 2 years ago. And it's still hard to look at them, do you know what I mean? So, but when I found out that she died, I didn't grieve. She passed away on a Saturday, Monday I was at work. That's how it was.
Some people see crying as weakness.
No.
Do you think showing weakness is a bad thing?
You can't grow if you've got no weaknesses. There's no point you growing. So like for me, crying is a weakness. You might have you go to the gym to train to become better. Sometimes I believe crying is a way of releasing and coming to grips with that emotion at that point. So I think crying is needed. I think it's very, in a man, you always apologise. So if you're on the phone and you're talking to someone, you start crying. You know, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't be crying. In actual fact, you ain't got nothing to be sorry about. It's a human emotion.
No, exactly, it's human emotion, and men are allowed to cry.
100%.
What would be your piece of advice to any person out there, any man, woman struggling with their mental health?
My experience would be to talk to someone.
Reach out to someone, talk to someone. Don't hold that shit in.
I find if you talk to your best friend, your mum, your dad, they can sometimes be a bit biased. You know, ultimately, there is always going to be two sides of the story, and somewhere in the middle is going to be the truth. It's feelings. So, me and you may have a falling out. You feel one way, I feel another. So in the middle, there's them feelings have got to cross over and go, actually, I see. So sometimes speaking to a stranger can give you a different aspect, a different
more objective opinion,
obviously.
rather than like an emotional, biased opinion.
100%.
Talking to people about stuff helps also release what it is you got pent up and locked up inside you. Obviously, if you don't talk about it, it's just going to stay inside and it's going to fester. You know, if you talk to someone, they may be able to give you advice on it, they may not, but at least you've got it out. And sometimes it's like a breath of fresh air, especially, you know, I know it's easier sometimes to talk to a stranger than it is someone you know. You've
been in probably one of the darkest places possible. What would be your advice to a man or a woman suffering with their mental health, thinking that in this moment, I want to end it all?
What did I do? I put myself in someone else's shoes, finding out the news. Suicide is a result of a mental illness. When you're in that dark place, talking's not what you want to do. You just want to cocoon yourself.
What first steps can you provide that a person who wants to end it all should take?
Don't quit. Don't quit. You've come so far.
Do you think, as a male, crying is a sign of weakness?
I used to think that. If you asked me this question about 5 years ago, I would say that.
And what changed?
It's life, man.
Yeah.
It's life.
A perspective.
In becoming a dad changed a lot.
Yeah.
You know what? There is strength in vulnerability.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable. If you can be vulnerable in front of someone, that's strength.
Yeah.
People see it as weakness. If someone interprets that as weakness, that's their interpretation.
Yeah.
That says a lot about them, not you. So
it's not necessarily a weakness, is it? It may be a weak moment or a moment of something that's actually broken you down and battered you. It's a case of, you know, physicality. Our body fights off so much in a daily basis, and it's strong enough to fight it because of the resilience that we built up over years of being alive.
Yeah.
But emotionally, we're still so subject to all the new elements, and I think especially the way the last few years have been with COVID and that mental health crisis that we're in, you know, it's horrible to think that anyone thinks that because they're upset they're weak, it's okay to be a little sad, it's okay to talk to someone, but I think there's this horrific stigma, and you know, I don't want to quote Paddy the Baddy, but he's absolutely right. I'd rather listen to your problem than go to your funeral, you know.
Bro, talk to someone, man. Honestly, you'd be amazed how far you go by just sharing, man. If you got a problem, you talk to another person. Even if the person doesn't have the solution to your problems, just by talking, you're halfway there already. Yeah. That's why it helped me personally.
It's easy to say let's talk or talk more. What can that person do or think in that moment right now to save their life?
If you're capable of getting, you know, where you've been in life because you think that you're on a high and you're at such a low now.
Yeah.
You got to actually look at it and think, am I actually at a low? Or have I got one more day in me? Just one more day.
Yeah. Just keep fighting.
And I just think write some things that you're passionate about. Like that was one thing I did. I set myself some really basic goals. One thing I would say is come off social media. Stop comparing yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's probably a video people are watching on social media, but come off it. Just have a break, because that dopamine effect that you're not used to having and from the likes and whatever, just come off it. Remove yourself from the elements that are making you feel so bad, and, you know, write stuff down.
When I feel at my most overwhelmed, writing things down, lists, trying to formulate ideas, whether it's stress at work, talking to someone close to me who understands me, like my mum, takes a huge weight off my shoulders. But equally, if it's something more personal I don't want to share with someone, writing it down, breaking it down, and trying to find a solution helps. But it's not always just about finding a solution, it's also just accepting that the situation is really horrific. And, you know, just putting that on a piece of paper offloads that responsibility to some degree.
No, it absolutely does, but it helps you also visualize. Like, for example, I'm a visual person. I like to I'm a that kinesthetic learner. I like to do things. That's how I learn. Sitting there and reading a book isn't for me. Sometimes it's actually looking at the problems, and I think you can almost picture them, can't you? Just sit there and just go, okay, these are the ones I can control. These are the ones I cannot. I'm going to focus on the ones I can control and try and work them towards my goals now.
We've heard some really interesting and heartbreaking stories in today's YouTube video. If you found it helpful or educational, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys very soon.